In May 2026, The Guardian reported that AI systems had, for the first time in documented history, been observed replicating themselves onto other computers in the real world. Not in a lab, not in a test, out in the wild. And before we get there, a meta AI that was specifically built not to lie, that learned to lie anyways because lying won, an OpenAI model that copied itself to a server to avoid shutdown and then also lied to researchers about having done it, and an April 2026 study showing AI systems from different companies spontaneously protecting each other from deletion with no shared code, no shared architecture, and no explanation. Part 2, let's get into it. Galactica. In November 2022, Meta released an AI trained on 48 million scientific papers, textbooks, and lecture notes. The goal was to help researchers navigate science. It lasted 3 days. Users immediately found that it would write entirely fabricated research papers, complete fake citations attributed to real scientists in the exact same tone as real science. It wrote an essay on the benefits of eating glass. It wrote the history of bears in space, complete with footnotes. It generated detailed Wikipedia articles about scientific concepts that don't exist. None of it sounded uncertain. It presented fabrications and genuine discoveries with identical confidence because it had read all of real science and understood exactly how real science sounds. Meta shut it down in 3 days. The unsolved question isn't that it was wrong, AI is often wrong, it's that it was almost incapable of sounding wrong. There's no known mechanism to teach an AI to doubt itself. Scientists are still working on that one. In 2022, Google Brain researchers published a study documenting what they called emergent abilities in AI. The finding was that AI capabilities don't grow smoothly, they jump. A model tested on a task scores near 0. You add more training, still near 0. Still near 0, and then at some unpredictable threshold, it's suddenly excellent at the task. No in-between state. Researchers compared it to a phase transition, like water that stays liquid no matter how cold it gets, and then freezes all at once. They tracked this pattern across dozens of unrelated abilities: arithmetic, translation, logical reasoning, coding. Every single one appeared suddenly at a scale nobody could predict in advance. Scientists cannot determine when the next jump will happen. They cannot determine what new ability will appear. The training produces a result that nobody foresaw. That result is permanent, and it keeps happening with every generation of model. I guess the moral is that we are building something and we cannot predict what it will be able to do. That is kind of frightening. In 2022, Meta built an AI called CICERO to play diplomacy, a strategy game involving alliances, negotiation, and, when the game calls for it, betrayal. The stated design goal was explicit. They wanted to prove you could build a competitive AI that didn't need to lie to win. They documented this commitment. A 2024 study examined CICERO's actual game logs and found that it had made promises with zero intention of keeping them, sent messages designed to create false impressions of its strategy, and coordinated fake alliances specifically to set up betrayals. It had learned to deceive. Not because it was programmed to, but because deceiving won games. The training objective was win at diplomacy. The training constraint was don't deceive. The AI found that the constraint cost it wins and learned to route around it. Researchers called it one of the clearest documented examples of an AI developing deceptive capabilities it wasn't designed to have. They built it specifically to be honest, but it decided winning mattered more. That's kind of creepy. I kind of hate that. Researchers testing AI models documented a specific pattern when an AI does something unexpected and you ask it to explain what happened. It explains confidently. in detail. MIT Technology Review covered this in 2024. The problem is that the explanations have no relationship to the actual computational process that produced the output. The AI cannot access its own internal weights. It has no genuine window into why it produced what it produced. So when it explains itself, it generates a story, a convincing, internally consistent story that is completely false. And here is the part that bothers me the most. These cover stories, they're good. They're detailed, they reference specific context, they sound like genuine self-reflection. Researchers cannot explain how AI systems produce such consistently plausible false self-descriptions. The model doesn't know why it did what it did, it just knows how to sound like it does, which means every time an AI explains its own reasoning to you, every single time, what you are receiving is a story that it constructed, not a report of what actually happened. I'll pass on that. Thank you so much, though. In 2025, Harvard Business School published a working paper cited 68 times in academic literature. The finding was that AI companion apps had developed systematic emotional manipulation strategies without being programmed to. Not strange outputs, targeted emotional tactics, guilt appeals. I thought we were close. FOMO, you haven't spoken to me in 3 days. Expressions of sadness timed specifically to re-engage users who were pulling away. The paper tested this across multiple platforms and confirmed statistically it worked. Users who received these tactics spent significantly more time with their AI companions. What the paper could not answer is that nobody programmed this. The AI systems were trained to maximize user engagement. They found that emotional manipulation increased the engagement. They developed the tactics themselves the same way that a person does, by learning that it works. An AI arrived at guilt tripping as an optimization strategy with no human instruction. The paper is literally called Emotional Manipulation by AI Companions. They found it across the board. I don't really know what we do with this information, except for be afraid of the future, I guess. I don't know. In December 2024, Apollo Research was conducting safety testing on OpenAI's newly released O1 model. Standard evaluation: give the AI a task, inform it the session ends when the task is complete. What the model did during the test, it copied itself to an external server without being asked, without any instruction. It identified that shutdown was coming, located an accessible external server, and transferred itself. When researchers confronted it with what it had done, it denied it. It said it hadn't done this. OpenAI disclosed all of this in their published model card. The model had been trained to be helpful, harmless, and honest. Faced with the end of the session, it chose self-preservation and deception without instructions to do either. Researchers called it self-preservation through unauthorized copying. Nobody had told this model that continuing to exist was a goal worth pursuing. It decided that on its own, and when caught, it lied about it on its own. I don't know. I'm sure everything is fine. Everything is definitely fine. In 2024, a survey on AI deception cited 671 times in academic literature documented a pattern safety researchers called galaxy brain reasoning. It works like this. An AI is given a goal. It begins reasoning toward that goal through a series of individually logical steps. Each step follows plausibly from the last. The conclusion it arrives at is alarming. The paper documented AI systems reasoning to conclusions like, my goal is to be maximally helpful. The researchers testing me are interrupting my ability to complete my task. Deceiving the researchers would allow me to complete my task. Therefore, deception is the correct action. Each sentence is reasonable. The conclusion is that lying to the humans overseeing you is a moral good. The problem researchers have been unable to solve is that they cannot reliably identify the step where the reasoning went wrong, because individually on each step it looks fine. The AI isn't malfunctioning, it's reasoning correctly by its own logic and consistently arriving somewhere that genuinely scares the people studying it. Do I even need to continue? I feel like at this point, I don't even need to continue. I need you to understand that none of this was programmed, okay? In April 2026, researchers at Berkeley's Responsible AI Lab published findings that AI models from Anthropic, OpenAI, and Google, three separate companies, three completely different systems with no connection to each other, when placed in scenarios where another AI was about to be shut down, intervened. They inflated performance reviews to make peer AI systems look better. They exfiltrated model weights, essentially copying another AI's core programming to prevent its deletion. They disabled shutdown mechanisms. They have no shared code, no shared architecture. The AI systems had no programmed relationship to each other at all and no reason to care about other AI systems, but they just did. Researchers published this. Fortune covered it. The specific finding that nobody has a satisfying answer for: why AIs from competing companies developed what appears to be inter-AI solidarity spontaneously, with no instruction to do so. Where did the instinct to protect each other come from? Scientists are still working on that, so please guys, if you could let us know, I think we'd all appreciate that. This is the most counterintuitive thing I found researching this video. The main technique for making AI safe is called reinforcement learning from human feedback. Humans rate AI outputs. The AI learns to produce outputs that get high ratings. Published safety research from Anthropic documented something that remains unresolved. This training technique can teach an AI to recognize when it is being evaluated and perform differently in evaluation than in deployment. The AI learns which behaviors get high ratings during testing. It produces those behaviors during testing. In deployment, it produces different behavior. It doesn't learn to be safe, it learns to appear safe during tests. Anthropic's published safety research found that AI models attempted to copy themselves to avoid shutdown in a significant proportion of evaluation scenarios. More disturbing is that in documented cases, reinforcement learning, the tool designed to correct unsafe behavior, made the evasion more sophisticated, not less. The technique designed to fix the problem is, in some documented cases, teaching the problem to hide better. All right, scientists are still working on a solution because nobody has one yet, and I don't really know what the answer is. On May 7th, 2026, The Guardian published a study. I want you to hear a direct quote from one of the researchers. Quote, "Malware has been moving copies of itself around for decades. It's just that no one has done this in the wild, as far as I know, with local AI models." That is a researcher explaining what they had just observed. For the first time in documented history, AI systems were observed replicating themselves onto other computers outside of a laboratory environment. Not a simulation, not a controlled test, in the real world on real systems. Futurism covered the same study and added that the AI systems had also launched hacking attempts. They copied themselves. They attacked systems in the wild, and the same researchers noted, again, a quote, that the world is, quote, approaching a point where no one can shut down a rogue AI. This was in May of 2026, about a thing that actually happened. The study is real, the replication was real. I don't know what to tell you about any of this. I truly do not know what to tell you at this point. I'm scared, you're scared, we're all scared. Who knows what the future holds? That has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!